Drew Brees has officially announced his retirement. Did a little cute video with his kids announcing the retirement for him on Instagram, saying that he's retiring to spend more time with them. It was very touching. And for me, it's a little bittersweet. So if it's your first time listening to me or watching me, I am a huge Saints fan. And I wasn't one of the Saints fans saying, give us one more year, Drew. Come on, Drew. You can give us one more year. It'll be a breeze to play at 43, Drew. Nah, I wasn't one of those guys. I knew it was time for Drew to hang it up. But it's still bittersweet when it's now realistic, because I just talked about how hard it is to get a top 10 quarterback in this league, a franchise guy. Multiply that times 10 to get an all-time great to play for your team for 15 years, like Drew did for the Saints. I have Drew in my top 5 all time. A lot of people may have him top 10. I'm not going to argue with you. You have him, 6, 7, 8. I get it. A lot of great quarterbacks throughout history. If you have him outside of the top 10, I think that's a little ridiculous. You might just be hating at that point. If you look at his career, 13-time Pro Bowler, 1-time All-Pro, 2004 Comeback Player of the Year, 2-time Offensive Player of the Year, retired as the all-time leader in passing yards and completions with over 80,000 yards. Just absolutely ridiculous. 571 touchdowns, 243 interceptions. Finished his career with a completion percentage of 67.7%, which is now second all-time behind Deshaun Watson. And when you look at his career, man, led the league in completion percentage multiple times. Was able to throw for over 5,000 yards multiple times. He's the only player to do that more than once. A lot of people say, oh, it's so easy to throw 5,000 yards. It's still only one person do it more than once, which means it's not that easy to do and should be respected, the fact that Drew was able to do it that many times. And for his legacy, I think his legacy is being the savior of a franchise, right? Greatest Saint of all time. You think about the Saints pre-Drew Brees and Sean Payton. Franchise was a joke, right? They were called the Aints. People wearing paper bags over their heads going to the games. And I get we had some success pre-Drew, right? We had the Dome Patrol era that made it to a few playoff games. Didn't win any, but made it to the playoffs a few times. We had the Aaron Brooks, Joe Horn, Deuce McAllister era, where we won our first playoff game and had some talented teams that underachieved during that era. And then once Drew Brees came, we became a team that was expected to do something every year. Now, did we live up to the billing every year? No, we had some tough finishes there, right? Some really bad, just bad luck. You think about the Minnesota Miracle, the no call in NOLA. Drew Brees went through some tough times along with the Super Bowl victory that we had in 2009. And me being a Saints fan, being from New Orleans, grew up right outside New Orleans on the West Bank in Marrero. When we won the Super Bowl, it was my first time crying over a sporting event. Tears of joy, because I was so happy for the team and the city. You think about it, 4 years earlier, Hurricane Katrina destroyed a lot of New Orleans and outside areas. And the one thing that we were able to hold on to was the Saints. I don't think there's any city that's more connected to their team than the Saints in New Orleans. That's why Saints fans go so hard for their team, because it's more than just football. Like the statue outside of the Superdome of the block punt that happened on Monday Night Football in the first game back in the Superdome after Hurricane Katrina represents so much more than just a block punt. It's the city coming back, people screaming in the Superdome, and Drew Brees was a part of that. Not just on the field, but has done so much for New Orleans, donating money, donating time. And I know he said some things that haven't been popular. I've come down on him for saying some of the things he said about standing for the flag and all those things. I've been tough on him for that. But when you look at what he's done as a person with him and his wife, for the city and for just causes in general. He has a one-time Walter Payton Man of the Year because of all the things he's done. You have to respect it. And you have to respect what he's done for the Saints, making us a respectable franchise. Now, going into next year, even without him, you're like, okay, the Saints can still be good and are expected to do well. And he was a part of changing the culture. We went from paper bags on our heads, expecting to be losers, to contenders year in and year out. We had a stretch there with him where it wasn't on him, but our defenses were really bad. Some of the baddest defenses of all time. And we went 7-9. But if you gave him a decent defense, you know the Saints had a chance to win. And that's his legacy. He changed the culture of a franchise. And I don't think people know how hard that is to do, to change a losing culture into a winning one. Him and Sean Payton did that. He's the first ballot Hall of Famer, one of the greatest of all time, definitely the greatest Saint of all time. So thank you, Drew, for all the memories. And we definitely appreciate you. We know that you're going to eat free for New Orleans for the rest of your life. And, you know, it's bittersweet. I know it's time for us to move on. It's time for us to remember you as you were and not as you would be if you continue to play. So thank you, Drew, for the memories. We will appreciate it. Never will forget you. You're going to get a statue outside of the Superdome, definitely, probably by next year. They're going to not waste any time on that. Of course, you're going to have your number retired in the rafters and all that stuff. And you may be the first person that I attend your Hall of Fame speech when that comes up 5 years from now. That's how much you've meant to me, say New Orleans and the Saints. So thank you one more time. So that's it for the Real Deal headlines.